going on next door. Maybe we should either close their door or ours.
Right
Yeah,
now.
I think that's a good idea. I don't want to like be totally disruptive. The dog hasn't eaten any more sticks or tried to. has
No, she's been good.
God, Jesus. You know, you told me that story. It just stayed with me. It's like, oh my God. Nah,
I pay attention very closely to everything.
I could just
she's
see
doing now.
myself trying to pull something like that out of my dog's mouth.
It's
Oh my God.
quite the experience.
I'm sure it is. Quite the traumatic experience. That dog got a stick stuck in her mouth. It was very traumatic. Trying to get it out and everything. He got it out though.
Nice.
Eventually.
Good to hear.
Well, I'm sure that she was freaking out too. You know, it's like, oh.
Yes, he was.
The only thing I hate about this room are these chairs.
Me too. They always,
Yeah.
hey.
Hi, Megan.
Just push everybody.
Just a little bit and there.
That's from Abby.
Oh, thank you. I let her borrow this like ages
I
ago.
was that business list that I was going to give you and I just forgot.
Oh, great. Oh, this is awesome information. Thank you so much. Oh, geez. Yeah, I won that Abby ages ago for the fire station. Thought it might help her. One of my favorite historic contractors is Crawford and Stearns in Syracuse. They're just fabulous, fabulous people. I actually, did that through a grant or something. I did. Some sort of architectural study or something, so that they could do repairs.
Right.
I think that Marty might be calling in also, but I'm not sure. Leanne is obviously in her office.
What about Leanne?
Where?
Oh, Joe's out there too.
Hello.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Good. How about you? We missed you this morning.
Monday
Or
morning.
yesterday, or Monday morning. Monday morning.
A little bit of a funk. I needed a day to myself, but I am much better now and I got over it. So.
Good. Good.
Sorry, boring.
Okay,
Stuff is in the works.
sure.
I feel bad. You come to these meetings like that.
Sorry, I'm used to it. A lot of them are that way.
I'm sure you are. A lot of waste of time.
I learn a lot when you do that.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. How are you, Megan? What's new? It's crazy weather already. No, it's gonna be a while yet. Hey, January's over. You don't make a progress.
Yeah, we're Tracy and Tracy.
Okay. John, can I ask you? You don't need me. You don't need me to go places. I'm employed.
Yeah, if you want to for fun, we could do that. Thank you, that's the schedule. but I understand.
You know, the park has been closed.
I know, it's
They're reopening tomorrow. Good.
I like the attention and the soup.
Oh, they had this COVID issue and John and I usually actually go to dinner after this meeting. in the park. He's like, I told myself, what am I gonna do? Because we'll just go to MJ's.
Ooh.
So I told him I'll pull up in the driveway and text him. He's to come out and jump in the car.
Oh,
You okay there, Joe? You gonna be all right?
you guys can keep me awake.
We're trying. You know, it's 4:30. How many people we on? Not enough.
We
I know,
We
I
might.
know. I did a 3-hour one of these today. They can wear you out.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
For the storm, right, Joe?
Yes, 4 out of 7. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
You know what?
But
Is everybody unmuted or whatever? I don't think Eric is.
Hello, I'm here.
I'm unmuted.
74407. That's Tracy.
All righty. Well, let's go. People, we have a quorum.
Okay.
Are we live streaming yet?
Yes. We're all.
We're
Do you
good?
have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
We're just missing Marty and.
Oh, there's Tracy. Okay.
John's excuse today, so.
Let's start. Welcome, everyone. This is the regular monthly board meeting for the Tioga County Industrial Development Agency. It is Wednesday, February 3rd at 4:30 p.m. The meeting is hereby called to order. Christine, if you would start with the attendees.
Jen Ceccarelli,
Yes.
Kevin Gillette. Aaron Gowan,
Yes,
Tracy Manal,
Yes.
Martha Sabre,
Yes.
Eric Knowles.
Yes.
And John Ward will be absent this evening, for your information. We have no privilege of the floor. I would like to start with the approval of the minutes. I'm seeking a motion to approve the minutes for the annual and regular January meetings, please.
This is Tracy. I so move.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
second, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron. Roll call, please, Christine.
Jen Ceccarelli,
Yes.
Kevin Gillette, Aaron Gowan,
Yes,
Tracy Manal,
Yes.
Martha Sabre,
Yes.
Eric Knowles.
Yes.
Moving on to the financials, has everybody had a moment to review them? And I would ask Aaron if he has any specific comments related to that.
no, it looks fine to me. I didn't see any problems.
That's great. I'm seeking a motion to acknowledge the financials.
So moved, this Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
This is Eric.
Thanks, Eric. Have a first and second. The next thing on the agenda is an EDMP update from Leanne Tinning.
Hello, everybody. Hey. I'll give you a quick rundown. I don't want to make Joe sit here for 3 hours again, so we'll make it quick. We are assisting with a virtual job fair. Will help be held March 10th, 11th, and 12th. So first go around with a virtual event. So kind of learning about that as we go along. I've met a couple of times with Town of Nichols. They are having challenges with truckers and their GPS systems accessing Crown Cork and Best Buy. They're ending up with a lot of truckers that are out in rural areas. And then of course they get out there, they get stuck, and they end up in a ditch or something. So this is happening quite often. We've heard from a couple of residents as well as the highway superintendent that this is really becoming a problem, particularly since there are a lot of new Amish families in the area, and the idea of having tractor trailers and Amish out on the same rural roads is kind of frightening. So I'm starting to make inquiries on what we can do to remedy the situation. Signs have been put up, but it just seems that the truckers are maybe not paying attention to those signs, weight limit signs and other directional signs. So really the heart of the problem is the GPS that the truckers are using is somehow taking them out into the hinterlands. So I reached out to Congressman Reed's office earlier this week, and they connected me with somebody with the Independent Truckers Organization to see if there's something we can do to take a look at the GPS data that the truckers are using and make sure that it's corrected, so that hopefully we can, not have these guys driving around out on Upper Briggs Hollow. So working
This is
on that.
Tracy, I'm just trying to understand, how did this become our problem?
Not really our problem.
It's not the IDA. It's not the IDA problem. And me and economic development, I'm just trying to help out, the town, keep good relationship. There are 2 businesses out there. We're looking at another that I've gotten a strong lead on it, and we want to just make sure that we keep everybody happy out there. It's just a matter of public relations and trying to help out where I can.
She's sharing information.
Okay.
Yes.
Moving along, we have a pretty strong lead on another warehousing distribution center out. Probably they're looking for 50 acres. So we submitted some property out in Lounsbury, and it's not property that the IDA has control of, but we were able to put about 50 acres together out there in Lounsbury. And also working with another manufacturer trying to relocate from the New Jersey area. They're looking for an existing building, which we don't have a lot of in Tioga County, but we're doing our best there to try to help him out. Continuing to work on COVID-related economic recovery strategic plan. It's coming along, and the 8 groups are really making some great progress on the short-term and long-term goals that were identified in that plan. Also getting the word out on the additional PPP funds that have been made available now to businesses. We have 18 DRI projects. Christine forwarded, I believe, in your packet of information, a document that shows, Christine, do you have a link to that? Just wanted to give you all a little update on what's going on with DRI. The progress report that you'll see, if hopefully you've got it. If not, we can forward it to you. Breaks down the 3 entities of the state where these projects are through. Thank you, Christine. One is through the Department of State, HCR, and Empire State Development. And you can see under each state organization, the projects are laid out. There are 5 things that have to happen. The contracts have to be issued, design and engineering services, environmental, local reviews, and then on to construction. And Britt and Abby put this together to show the status so we can get a sense for how far along each of these projects are. And you can see, thank you, Christine. So you can see the progress for each of these categories on each of these projects and where we are. So just thought you might have some interest in that, sharing it. So if you have any questions on any of them, please let me know. We have New York Main Street, 6 projects moving forward on North Avenue in Owego. I am thrilled to report that we have Department of Health approval on the water system for Owego Gardens 2. It's been a long road, but approval came today, so pretty pleased about that. The bid docs have been issued, and I think Christine updated where they're going. We have until the 19th for those documents to come back, February 19th. So in all likelihood, we're going to be looking for a special meeting because we're really getting on a time crunch now with the construction schedule for home leasing. So we may be asking for a special meeting after the 19th for the IDA to actually make that award. Midwestern Pet Foods started out with a pilot after really taking a look at it and talking with the town of Barton initially. It didn't look like it was going to be a project that would likely be supported by the town or the school. Because it was actually taking, and county for that matter, taking taxes off the board. And so I had a conversation with Midwestern and shared that with them, suggested we could look at a sales tax only because I really didn't feel confident that a pilot on real property taxes would be approved. They looked it all over and kind of did their own little analysis on it and ultimately decided to withdraw that application. So we will not be having a new pilot for Midwestern Pet Foods. Restore New York, both projects, Owego and Waverly, both moving along, getting close. Waverly, I think, is about done. Still working with Home Leasing, Ithaca Neighborhood Housing Services, and SEP on additional housing projects around the county. REAP has been really very active. They're about finished with their bylaws update. They have a couple of two more prospective new representatives on the REAP board, which we're excited about that to get some new blood in there. Workforce Pipeline Development Study Implementation Plan is moving along. Right now, we're looking at a Workforce Development Coordinator, an ARC grant possibilities to fund that position. This person would work in partnership with the school districts and the local employers or colleges to make those connections that we recognize are missing at this point. The draft report on the talent supply table is just about ready to be released. Britt is working with the consultant on that and getting that wrapped up. As far as ag, the annual ag district inclusions are moving forward. There will be a public hearing, not sure when, soon for that. February 18th. Ag value chain study is ongoing. We are right now have identified 10 potential grants. We have 7 grants that are pending right now, 17 that are active, and 1 completed grant. That was the Village of Spencer Nichols Park Grandstand restoration that our office helped out with. That's all I have.
Any questions for Leanne?
Oh,
Hi. So regarding Owego Gardens, we had a request from Boric, who's working on the home leasing portion of construction.
Hold on a second.
Requesting to put about 18,000 cubic yards of removed dirt to the adjacent IDA owned property up behind Owego Gardens too. Before taking it to the board, I suggested that they would potentially want to split their line item from their bid with IDA for compensation for allowing them to do that. They've offered $2,500 for unlimited sole access to the property to do that. So I told them I'd take it to the board and see how you all feel.
did
Well, this
everybody,
is Kevin. I don't really have any issue with them putting dirt there, but I think do we have to do any studies to make sure we're not killing any plants or bugs or twigs or anything like that?
Our James Gensel from Fagan Engineer says no.
yeah, the problem is we might have to move it later, Kevin. And why should we, for $2,500, why should we let him get away with that? That's my feeling. Unless we have a use for that dirt. And I don't see that coming up. Do you, Leanne? You're on mute.
No, I can't think of anything right off where we would have any need for fill.
It's not topsoil as
Right.
such. So,
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Aaron. Then you end up dragging it off and it costs you 3 times what you got to do it in the first place.
right. And he's only willing to give us $2,500 off of his bid to do that. So make him take it away. That's my feeling.
Are we all in agreement with that?
I haven't heard other than Kevin and Eric.
Yeah, I'm with Aaron on that. I just, it doesn't make sense to me.
I'm good.
I'm good too.
Okay.
I'm good.
Thank you. Leanne's been in touch and Joe has been in touch with the attorney for Central New York Oil and Gas, hoping that they'll present a full pilot application as soon as possible so we can review it and hopefully keep that on the exempt rule section 8 before the March 1st deadline upcoming to submit and have the next tax roll included as exempt. I sent out the IRP loan site visit employee verification. This is one of the recommendations resulting from the New York State Comptroller audit. So every year I'll share with you what resulted here. I'll pull it up for those of you who are viewing online. Okay, so it's to compare the number of employment promised at the time of the loan issuance to what was reported for 2020 year end. There's 4 that are below the number of employees promised. They're in bold here. There are specifically Becky's Diner, Endless Mountain Vet Center, Stilettos and the Loom. But I think it's important to note we've had COVID going on and
Right.
that's affecting their employment at this time.
Yeah.
So I'll also be sharing the pilot employment numbers once those are all received.
Thanks for pulling that together. I thought it was very interesting looking at your list.
So wanted to notify the board, we put out a social media RFP. Maddie Tinney is no longer providing these services as of January 1st this year. So I worked with Abby Hendrickson to compile this social media RFP and we sent it out to a lot of her contacts that have experience with those services. We put the bid deadline for February 17th and I'll bring the submissions to the board in March, hoping that IDA is still interested in funding that for the upcoming year.
I think we'd be glad to look at it. It's going to depend on how much it costs. We're a little stretched this year. Have to be a little more discerning. So let's wait and see how it shakes out.
Sounds good. Old business.
All right. I got a little input on that. If you started a social media campaign, not that I use it, you'll never see me on it, but the next generation of folks just below me, they're on it all the time. So if we're going to have social media exposure, we better have somebody managing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, who's we? The IDA doesn't get a lot of social media exposure for this RFP. FYI, if that's what you're looking for, that's not where this is coming from. We had one post that was sort of related to the IDA last June, and that's pretty much the only post I could see all year that had anything to do with the IDA, and that was for the paint program.
Has anybody looked at other IDA programs and seen how they're using social media, or is there any information that we can see that's related to this?
I'd be happy to take a look at that.
I think Broome has, I'm not involved in it, but I think Broome has a pretty robust social media program. And, you know, you should probably just give them a shout I can't even think off the top, but there's two, they have a couple interns and one, I think, full-time person that does that. And then they use these companies that monitor it, you know, how many clicks do you get? How many this, how many that? But they could give you some guidance.
The other thing I'd like to just bring up is that keeping the concept of Team Tioga in mind, it isn't necessarily intended to be just IDA. It's having to do with economic development across the county in partnership. So, you know, I don't know that it's necessarily relevant that there was only one IDA post. I mean, it's really, we're talking about the good of economic development across the county and whatever our prospective roles are. So I don't know. I guess I look at it a little bit differently, Jenny, than and if you wanted more IDA specific posts, then certainly that's something that we could, you know, we could look at. But generally the IDA is pretty much kind of flown under the radar a bit. And so I don't know, maybe it's a matter of discussion with the board on what exactly you want to see posted out there. If you do want
Right.
more IDA related.
I've noticed though that with your posts, you really haven't engaged an audience. I mean, looking at the past 2 months, you will on Facebook, let's say, you will have 1, maybe 2 likes, maybe 2 shares. I mean, it's just so spotty. I don't think you've engaged the audience that you were intending to engage.
Remember, we have not had anybody managing it since at the end of the year. So there hasn't been active work on it since Maddie completed at the end of the year. I think if you go back and look at while she was actively monitoring and we were making regular posts, you see that there was more engagement at that time.
You had a lot of posts though in December and January. I mean, lots. Certainly more than 8 a month. And so that's another question I have. Who was doing those posts?
So right now in the interim, Abby Hendrickson's taken over until we hire the upcoming servicer. A few things to keep in mind for everybody. One of the things Maddie did, and we're asking the new provider to do, is monitor it daily and let Team Tioga know if there are particular questions about, you know, there were a lot of questions about the DRI posts, and we would be contacted and therefore provide an appropriate response for the same day. Another thing that I included in this RFP that will be different from the prior is trying to do outreach to site selecting firms as one of our 3 main goals. So I'm continuing to, you know, do what we've been doing before, but also try to get outreach to site selectors to try to bring in new business prospects.
You know, another question I have, I noticed that tourism was on this RFP also. I had thought that Becca paid for her own social media. Hasn't she done that in the past? Like
She does. She absolutely does. But again, with this particular Facebook page being a Team Tioga Facebook, which is IDA, EDMP, and LDC, that's why Becca was included on it. But yes, she absolutely has an experienced Tioga dedicated social media presence.
Okay. Well, let's move it forward. See what comes back. How's that?
Sounds good. So if you recall, we had the Seaman parcel, the IDA is willing to take on for the purchase price of $1. It's South Carmichael Road by the Monkey Run, so that we can utilize it for access for future stream bed improvements. So Joe completed that transfer to the IDA's name. Our 2020 year-end audit is in progress. They've been supplied all requested information. They're working on compiling the final report. They've offered to address the full board in the March meeting with an audit report. I'd like to gather if the full board would like to see that, or if I should schedule it just for the audit committee. Last year, they didn't present at all. They just provided the final report. So we can have them present to the full board, audit committee, or not at all.
I would say you do it just to the audit committee. There's no reason for everybody to die over it.
Thank you.
Sounds good, thanks.
There's your 3-hour meeting, Joe. Right there it is, baby.
All right.
I feel as if I've been saved.
All right, so for the loan committee report, we have a meeting scheduled for Friday morning to review and vote on a loan application. I'll bring their recommendation forward to the full board, requesting an email vote that same day so that we can, if it's approved, get moving on a closing date. The COVID-19 loan funds come from the county HUD funds. The annual bank interest was returned to the treasurer for their annual deposit to the US Treasury. Just putting that in the minutes and letting everybody know. I'm going to be inquiring from HUD whether or not the loan interest accrued on those accounts can remain with the county for future disbursements, or whether they also want that to be returned somehow. The last thing on the loan committee report is the HUD loans and the interest rate determination. Leanne and myself have been discussing with the loan committee. We had a particular loan in mind that turns out we won't be going forward with, but we are asking the loan committee and the full committee tonight just whether they would prefer to predetermine these interest rates and terms, because they are up for determination. They're not preset by the guidelines, or whether they'd prefer to take it loan by loan. So loan committee members, I guess I'm asking you first if you'd rather, predetermine that or take it on a case by case.
The only thing I would say on this is it makes it challenging not knowing if I have a company who may have interest in low interest loan money to, fill a gap or whatever. It does make it challenging not being able to say to them, this is the interest rate, this is the term. It's I don't know how to offer that to a company. So from my perspective, it would be helpful if there was some, I don't know what it is, what the answer is, but some way for me to have an idea before I go to the company and say, hey, we've got this low interest loan program, or what actually I'm offering them.
Man, that's a great point, because I was taken back when we were working on that loan last month, I think it was, and we were just, I thought maybe there was a set rate, and all of a sudden different numbers started floating around, and I'm not confident, honestly, in my background, I'm not a banker. I would think there would be some kind of chart there that we would be working off. So yeah, I would appreciate that.
Bring it before the loan committee.
Sounds good. Thank you. RJ Corman requested the updated consent and estoppel, handing over some of our rights to determine the new operator in case of default. We've not signed that on behalf of IDA. Joe's reached out to their attorney with suggested updated language. They have yet to respond, and since it's their request, we're just assuming the ball's in their court and they can respond to Joe when they need to.
I just checked and he responded to, I got this on the 15th saying, I've got it. I'm going to pass it to the lenders council and I'll get back to you. So it's in they want it and it's in their court. So we just sit and wait. I do that well too.
Yeah.
Christine, we were talking about the
That's my
poll.
strong.
The poll. That's further down.
I don't have it on this list. I haven't yet obtained bids, and it's top of the list to do those, bring them forward. So probably email vote that we won't be holding off till next month.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Sales tax exemption, Best Buy's final report number is 648 to 2698. Well within the authorized amount, and their project is officially complete. The town and county and lump sum pilot invoices have been distributed. With the grants, We are working on a new grant application regarding the Richford Railroad. This one is just for the engineering plan and design. It will help us have a more competitive FEMA application, hopefully at the end of this year. The town of Richford will be the applicant and the IDA will just be the recipient. The total project cost is $63,500. The max grant award is $50,000. So RJ Corman's committed to funding $13,500. It exceeds the match requirement, so there would be no match required by IDA. Seeking approval by the board to sign a participation letter to submit along with the application. Just stating that IDA would be the subrecipient and do the grant administration portion of the project.
So
You need a
moved.
Second, Eric.
Okay, I'll take a roll call vote. Jen Checkarelli?
Yes.
Kevin Gillette?
Yes.
Karen Gowen?
Yes.
Tracy Manell?
Yes.
Martha Savray?
Yes.
Eric Knowles?
Yes.
Okay. All other grant statuses are the same as before. And that's all I have for the regular agenda today.
All right, one question before we go into executive. Leanne, what are we doing on Suez and this fee schedule crap?
So a couple of things. Fagan Engineers had already included inspection of the work in their quote to us.
Right.
So in that number that we got from Fagan, inspection number was already in there. So I've talked with Jamie and I said, we're not going to pay twice for this. You need to back that fee out. So he's in agreement. He'll take that fee out of. So our commitment to Fagan now is reduced by, I don't know, 150,000 or so. Additionally, I shared that the Suez estimate, with Jamie, and he said there's no possible way that it's going to cost $250,000 to $300,000 for that inspection work to be done. You can't pay a person enough money, 24 hours in a day, for it to come to that. He is certain that it's going to be less. So it's going to be what it is. I mean, we can't.
But are they going to charge us? They're going to charge us by the hour, or are they going to say it's going to cost you $300,000 no matter what?
No, they're going to charge us by the hour. They're going to say, we had an engineer out there, his rate is X, he's out there however many hours, and that's what it'll be.
Okay, all right. So it's not the $300,000 point blank.
No. Paul at Suez said, oh, you can plan on this and this. And then when I shared that with Jamie's like, no possible way it's going to be that much. So we're probably going to come in pretty close to what we already had designated for it, but there's no way to know until, we have to pay it. I checked with PSC. First thing I did is go to PSC and say, can we use Fagan? And they said, no, that's not considered independent. You have to go with whoever it is Suez is going to contract to have that done with. And then checking back with Jason Bellis, with Larson, who do you think Suez is going to use? It's probably going to be Hunt Engineering. Tim Steed probably is going to be the one doing it. So, a lot of options and as far as who they might use, but
So they hire a local firm. So it's not like they're pulling somebody out of New Jersey here.
I can't believe that they contract. Hunt Engineering has done all the reviewed work on everything that's been submitted to this point. I can't imagine they'll use anybody other than they've already have a relationship with them.
Okay. That's better.
Yeah. I had a little heart attack over that one.
All right.
Tracy, you all
Motion.
right with that?
Yep.
I know you emailed.
I'm all right with it, but I'm still like, I don't understand how they're going to come in at the 11th hour and start saying they're going to charge $300,000 and they don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Makes me want to drive over there and speak to somebody.
Yeah. Good luck.
Probably would be a good plan for the IDA.
Yes. They're very vague. It's so hard to get, as you might have guessed through this whole process, it's incredibly difficult to get specific information from them. Everything they give you is very general, very vague until you get right down to it. And I had to really press even to get the crazy numbers I got from Paula. Just, they don't tell you anything. You can't ask Jamie in the whole approval process. It's just crazy.
I would assume that they do that on purpose.
Yeah.
Again, I say, who's the list of people that voted to give away the water rights for the village?
I'm still struggling with that down here in Waverly. Every time you guys talk about that, I'm just thinking, what the heck? And is that, and I was wondering with Cuomo pushing through his new, I don't know, whatever, he's attacking the utility companies on the island. Is that something at some point to be able to take them from private to public? Is that something that we may be able to pursue at some point to get those water rights back? That's, I mean, something to think about, especially because they're getting raked down there in the utility world.
Absolutely. Village of
Eric,
Owego.
are you trying to use logic?
You
That's
haven't
not going to work.
I hear you, man. It's like, oh, geez.
We agreed on that, you know, so.
Okay, so are we ready to go into executive session?
We are. Can I have a motion to do so?
So
I will
moved.
make that motion.
Oh, I'll second it.
Second.
Okay. I'm gonna stop this recording. Hold on. Good seeing you, man.